Governor Northam is saying he made him do it. Now, since day one, Governor Northam has emphasized that expanding Medicaid was his top priority. Over the course of the past months, Governor Northam engaged with legislators on both sides of the aisle on budget matters and Medicaid expansion. Throughout this process, he was willing to come to the table and listen to others' perspectives and beliefs. Governor Northam remained committed to working with legislative leaders on this issue to find a pathway to expanding Medicaid for hundreds of thousands of Virginians. His willingness and ability to find a solution through negotiations and compromise made this a reality. Governor Northam's tireless leadership is a model for all of us, and I believe sets the course for progress over the next 4 years. So with this budget, this historic budget now before us, it is my honor to introduce the 73rd Governor of the Commonwealth of Virginia, His Excellency Governor Ralph Northam.
Afternoon.
Thank you, Secretary Lane, and for your kind introduction, and also thank you for your service to the Commonwealth. To all of you that are here with me, standing beside me today, thank you for your service, and welcome to all of you this afternoon. It has been a long road to get here, but I couldn't be happier to sign this budget bill today. It took longer than we would have liked, but I believe the process we followed on this budget and the product I'm about to sign represents the best of the Virginia way we hear so much about around Capitol Square. Virginians send us here to Richmond to work together to make their lives better. That's what this budget will do. It will make people's lives better by investing in the fundamentals of a healthy economy like education, workforce development, and public safety. This budget will help us attract the best and brightest to the state workforce and into our classrooms by giving state employees a 2% raise and teachers a 3% raise effective July 2nd, 2019. This budget will strengthen our Commonwealth's financial health by bringing the total balance of funds we set aside in reserves to nearly $1 billion. This budget makes historic investments in our Commonwealth's behavioral health system and in our efforts to combat opioid addiction. And of course, this budget will empower nearly 400,000 Virginians with access to health insurance by expanding Medicaid. And it will do that without crowding out other general fund spending priorities. The budget also establishes a work group to examine recent trends in the individual insurance market and identify state options and resources to stabilize the individual insurance market and slow the growth of health care premiums. When I sign this budget in a few moments, my team will immediately begin the process to expand Medicaid and get these Virginians access to the care they need to lead healthy and successful lives. I know this has been a labor of love for many of the people here today. As a doctor and a public servant, I believe making sure all Virginians have the access to the care they need to be healthy and productive is a moral and economic imperative. Without health, there is no happiness. We couldn't have done it without the thousands of Virginians who have been raising their voices for more than 5 years in support of Medicaid expansion. They showed up here in Richmond every winter and told stories of the real Virginians whose lives could be changed if we passed Medicaid expansion. I want to thank you all. There are too many people to name, but I know that your work over the past few years is what made this vote this year possible. That includes advocates for whom this fight has been personal, because they will be eligible for Medicaid under expansion. That means the difference between suffering from an ailment and getting it treated. Some of them are here with us today, and I want to thank every one of you. By sharing your stories with us and with legislators, you have helped make a difference. I want to thank Governor Terry McAuliffe and members of his administration who worked every year of the McAuliffe term to pass Medicaid expansion. I want to thank all of the General Assembly members who stood for years and made the case, no matter the odds. I want to give special recognition to Senator Dick Saslaw, Senator Janet Howe, and Delegate David Toscano. For their leadership this year and in years past as we have fought to get to this point. I particularly want to thank Speaker Kirk Cox, Chairman Emmett Hanger, for their leadership and their trust throughout this difficult process. It took leadership and courage to get us this far. They and many members of the General Assembly took a number of difficult votes in the course of doing the right thing for their constituents. In the hard-fought negotiations, we came together in good faith, and Virginians are better for it. In the end, the Virginia way prevailed. We reached a compromise. We showed Virginians and the world that chaos and partisan warfare may dominate Washington, but here in Richmond, we still work together to do the right thing for our people, not our political party. When I ran for governor last year, I promised that I would govern to get things done. I said that my goal would always be to do what was best for the people of Virginia. I promised I'd work with anyone to make our Commonwealth work better for all Virginians, no matter who they are or where they're from. So I could not be prouder today to be signing a budget that I believe adheres to that commitment. And we can't stop there. Though today marks a substantial achievement in health care, there is a great deal more we can accomplish to achieve more accessible, affordable, and quality health care for all Virginians. We have seen that a model of compromise and civility works. We need to use it on other issues, other priorities. We can get a lot done if we continue to work together in good faith, with our goals always being to do what's best for Virginia. Now It's one thing to sign a bill here today and declare that we have expanded health care access in Virginia. But the mechanics of that will actually take some time. As soon as I sign these budgets today, the Department of Medical Assistance Services will take the steps to submit the appropriate state plan amendments to the Federal Centers for Medicare and Medicaid Services. These submissions will be done within the next few days. DMAS will also immediately open a dialogue with federal officials at CMS to discuss the federal approval of these submissions and the waiver process that's necessary for the work requirement component of our legislation. As all of this happens, our staff at DMAS and the Department of Social Services will be updating our IT systems and eligibility and enrollment programs, and they'll be working with the managed care health plans to make sure they're ready to handle the newly eligible population. As DMAS officials have made clear from the beginning, expanding eligibility to up to 400,000 Virginians is a massive project that will require at least 6 months of intensive work to ensure that all systems, programs, and contractors are updated and reflect the new policies and procedures. A tremendous amount of planning, policy, and operations preparation has already laid the groundwork for this process to go smoothly. I have faith that the federal government will do its part to work with our Virginia officials to expedite this important process so that we can provide critical health care access as quickly as possible to the people who need it. As I sit down to sign these budgets, I want to thank the Department of Planning and Budget staff and the staff of the House Appropriations and Senate Finance Committees. Those are all people who have to make budget math work. And they work late, long hours in every budget cycle. But I know this has been a particularly difficult budget time in many ways. In closing, I want to thank again all of the many people who played a part in making Medicaid expansion a reality in Virginia. Nearly 400,000 Virginians are indebted to you for your work, your commitment, and your courage. So thank you, and may God bless all of you.
We'll never get a picture now.
Yeah. Oh, okay. We should get another fake one there.